Hi there everyone. Today's class is going to be a gentle Hatha yoga class. So we're going to be using some of the traditional postures of Hatha yoga to really help start to open up the body, improve posture, develop flexibility, and importantly, release tension. So particularly we're going to be exploring postures which are good for reducing stress, good at releasing tension and discomfort in the lower back. So if you've been at your computer for a bit too long, or driving a car, or you're just generally feeling a bit tired and stiff, maybe it's still early in the morning for you, then this practice should be hopefully a really wonderful way just to start to let go of some tension and feel better. You don't really need a huge amount in terms of equipment. If you want some support for your head, like a thin cushion or folded blanket, feel free to have that. A yoga strap is essential. If you don't have a strap, you can use a scarf or a belt, but you will need something of that sort. And also something to sit up on. So your cushion for your head can be something that you sit up on, or if you've got a yoga block, then you're really welcome to use that as well. Okay, so let's begin. We are going to start lying down onto the floor. Have your strap nearby so you know where it is. Feel free to take this cushion for your head and come to lie all the way down onto your back with your legs bent and your feet hip distance apart. And you can take a few moments here just to find out exactly where you want your arms to lie in relation to your body, where you want your feet to be in relation to your pelvis. And as you come down towards the floor, you can take a moment just to lightly draw one shoulder blade in and down the back, followed by the second shoulder blade. So the shoulder blades are drawing from the ears. And then once you've tucked your shoulder blades in, press down with your feet, lift your hips, move your tailbone forward and then lower all the way down, so that your lower back is on the floor once again. So this hopefully is taking out any unnecessary arch in the spine. And so this is where we're going to begin. This posture is called effortless rest or constructive rest. And this is a really wonderful posture to do if you experience general lower back pain, just general aches and pains. If you spend a lot of time sitting in a chair, then this is a nice posture to practice, because the act of sitting can bring a lot of congestion and compression into your lower back and the vertebrae of the lumbar spine. And this simple position just takes away the weight of gravity and allows the spine to find its way into its own natural alignment. This is also a really good way to start to create a bit more space for your breath. Because as well as releasing tension in the lower back, we're also beginning to soften around the hips, allowing the lower abdomen to soften, or the psoas muscle to begin to slowly lengthen and release. And this can create more space for the breath. So you don't need to try and do any particular breathing at this stage, but you can take a few moments just to notice your breath. You might notice things like, are you breathing through the nose, the mouth, maybe a bit of both? Is your belly moving with your breath? Or is the movement more in your chest? Or maybe there's not very much movement at all at this stage. Don't try and correct yourself. We're just trying to observe. The breath is always changing moment to moment, so we don't need to
be worried about any idea that we're breathing wrong, but rather just to increase our awareness of how we're breathing in this moment and all the moments to come. And you might notice now, after a few minutes of being here, that perhaps there's some changes happening in your body. Maybe you can feel how the back of your body is beginning to soften down towards the mat a little bit more. This can be very subtle, so don't worry if you're not sure if you can feel anything or not. Sometimes we notice that the breath changes. We might find we suddenly take a deeper breath spontaneously, or we might just notice more movement coming through the belly. And then when you're ready, I invite you to take a long, slow breath in through your nose and then just sigh, yawn, release the breath through your mouth. And you can do that a couple of times. Feel free to make a little bit of sound. One of the benefits of practicing at home is you don't have to feel embarrassed about the people around you. And making some sound can be a really good way just to release any emotion that's pent up, any tension in your jaw, your throat. You don't have to think about it, but just have that sense that you're just releasing and letting go a little bit with each breath. And so we're going to stay in this position, but start to bring a little bit of movement to the posture now, starting on this right side. So gently bring this right leg towards you, catch hold under your thigh. If it's difficult for you to reach your thigh, just use your strap or your scarf and just bring that around the back of the leg. And then holding onto the back of the thigh, we come into a small rocking action with the pelvis. So as you inhale, let your knee move forward, feel your lower back arch. And as you exhale, draw your knee towards you, let your lower back flatten. So as you inhale, your knee is moving away from you, so your arms will straighten, but only a little bit. It's a very small movement. And as you exhale, your elbows will bend and the knee will move back towards you. So it's not about doing a really big movement. Don't let go of your leg. We're not trying to do this kind of movement. We just are keeping it small. And one of the there's many benefits of keeping the movement small, but one benefit is that we can concentrate a little bit more. Sometimes if we're just kind of throwing ourselves around, we're not really thinking about what we're doing. But when we slow it down and we make it smaller, we pay more attention, and you might start to notice what you can feel here. So we're really rocking the pelvis. So notice that when you inhale and the knee moves away, the lower back arches. And as you exhale and the knee draws towards you, the lower back flattens. So that you're emphasizing this curve through your pelvis, through your lower back. This is a really nice way to massage out your back. And then just taking one more round. And as you hug your knee towards your chest, lengthen the left leg away from you. Now, if this causes pinching in your inner groin, then just bend your left leg once again. Otherwise, your leg is straight with your toes pointing to the ceiling. And see how it would be to take a few slightly fuller breaths here. So more conscious effort with your breath, breathing into your belly and then breathing out. Breathing in down to your tummy. And as you breathe out, You may find that you can draw this knee a little bit closer towards you, maybe towards your chest or towards your armpit. So on the exhale, you might find there's a little bit more space to go more deeply, but you don't have to be going more deeply. The main thing is that you're taking full and easy breath and that you're enjoying it, that you're enjoying being here, softening through your hips and releasing the right side of your back to the floor. And so from here, bring your left hand now, place it onto your right knee, bring your right arm out on the floor beside you in line with your shoulder, and then take a gentle twist. So we're guiding the knee across the body. Now it doesn't have to be a big movement. You might find your right hip and buttock have lifted away from the floor, but make sure your right shoulder stays on the floor. So we're still at the start of our practice. We don't really want to come into any super deep twists straight away. So again, just enjoy your breath. Your gaze can be up to the ceiling, maybe slightly to the right, just whatever's comfortable. Two more breaths. And then use your inhale, roll flat onto your back, come back to center. And as you exhale, let your right leg come all the way down to the floor. Relax your hands by your side and notice the difference in the two sides of your body here. A little bit longer on this right leg. Maybe feeling a lot longer on the right leg. And we'll take that sequence on the left. So bending up the knees, feet on the mat about hip distance apart. Inhaling to lift that left leg towards you, catching hold of your thigh, chin towards the breastbone. And then when you're ready to come into the rocking movement, use your inhale, move your knee forward, arch your lower back. Exhale, draw your knee towards you, flatten your back to the mat. Moving in this way, inhaling, curving the spine, exhaling, flattening the spine. These movements, as well as being really soothing for the vertebrae of the spine and as well as a way of lengthening your hip flexors, they're also a really good way to massage out your digestive system. So we start on the right, we move to the left so that we're following the same direction as the colon. And then we just bring a little bit of massage to this area. So this can be nice if you've had any kind of tummy problems, particularly if your tummy problems are related to anxiety, because this is a very calming and soothing movement to do, so it can be very beneficial. So just enjoy a few more of these. Enjoy just a slightly slower pace of yoga, perhaps, than you're used to. Bringing a quality of mindfulness into your practice by coordinating your movement with your breath. And then the next time that you exhale and you draw your knee towards your chest, keep hugging it there and lengthen the right leg away from you. Remember, you have the option to keep that right leg bent if you prefer. So we're coming back to some conscious breathing here. Breathing in and sending the breath into your tummy. Breathing out, perhaps this left leg draws closer towards you. For some people, they prefer drawing the knee directly to the chest. Other people prefer to take the knee wider, slightly towards the left shoulder. And some people enjoy just being quite still, but feeling the weight of the leg pressing down onto the belly, and of course also onto the back of the body. So you get that nice release of your lower back to the floor. From here, we're going to take the right hand on top of the leg or the knee, bring the left arm out on the floor beside us, and then come into this small twist, lifting, peeling the left hip and buttock from the mat, keeping the left shoulder on the floor, finding a comfortable place for the head. So we're just beginning to gently twist the spine here, as well as continue stretching around the outer hip and buttock. If we've ever had lower back pain, we can know that it's scary to actually feel this part of the body. We can panic with any sensation because we've been scared of the pain. But gentle sensation is good. It's feedback. We're moving the body. The body does need to move, just as the body needs to rest. On your next inhale, roll onto your back, and as you exhale, release that left leg down, both hands down by the hips. Take a moment to pause and breathe, feeling both legs, hopefully longer, maybe feeling a little bit softer around your tummy. And then once again, coming to lie with the back on the mat, knees bent, taking the strap and bringing your right knee towards your chest, taking your strap just below the toes on the ball of the foot, and as you inhale, beginning to lengthen this leg towards the ceiling. Now your leg doesn't have to be completely straight. Keep a little bend in the knees if that's more comfortable for you. And then find your breath. So this isn't about trying to yank or pull the leg towards you. Your elbows can stay soft. You can even have your elbows on the floor if you prefer. This isn't about really pulling on your arms. This is about getting a sense of length coming all the way through the back of your leg. So rather than be concerned overly with the shape of your body, think about the shape of your breath. And begin to breathe as though you were trying to breathe into the sole of your foot, so that your breath is moving through your tummy, your pelvis, into the sole of your foot. And as you exhale, just softening your breath and feeling the weight of your right leg pressing your back into the floor. Inhaling through the belly, up the leg to the foot. Exhaling, noticing the weight of your right leg pressing the right side of your back to the floor. Keep your chin towards your chest and make sure you're not accidentally sticking your chin to the ceiling. And take a few more breaths. So if you're really aggressive in this posture, then you can't hold it for a long time. And whilst we don't always have to hold every posture for a long time, there are benefits that come, such as moving into a more parasympathetic state of being, rest and digest, beginning to stretch the tissue as well as the muscle, slowing down the mind, and becoming more aware of how the body slowly and gently changes, without the change always having to come from brute force, that change is occurring with or without a huge amount of effort. So let's just take 2 more breaths. Breathing into the sole of the foot, breathing out, feeling the right side of the back to the floor. And then bringing that left leg in towards you now. Take both ends of the strap into the right hand. Bring your left hand onto the inside of your leg. Keep your gaze and your belly button up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, let your legs open. So you can use your left hand against the inside of your thigh here. Now, if you really can't stand this position for your left leg, bring your legs back together, put your foot on the floor, and then do the same thing, but with your foot on the floor. You can always put your left arm on the floor as well. This version, with the foot lifted, puts less pressure on your sacroiliac joints, but it's, you might find that you are just more comfortable in that second version. Make sure you're still pressing your foot into the strap, so you're using some muscular effort through this right leg. Feel how the inside line of your leg is getting longer. Take a full breath. And then use your inhale. Bring your legs back towards one another. And as you exhale, step your left foot to the floor. Take the strap into your left hand. Bring the right arm on the floor beside you. And then walk that left foot away from you a little bit. So it's going to the end of your mat. And then cross at your legs. It's kind of a strange movement. Your left knee goes to the right. Your right leg goes to the left. You can bring your right thumb to the inner crease of your thigh and pull that hip down. Keep pressing your foot into the strap. Find your breath. And then use your inhale, come back to center. Exhale, bend your right knee, release the strap. And again, lengthen out both legs so that you can notice the difference in the two sides of the body. And then we'll, of course, take that to the left side. So start with the knees bent. Bring that left knee in towards you. Take the strap on the ball of the foot. And as you inhale, begin to lengthen your leg up. Not going too far. Just working enough so that you can feel a stretch coming through the back of your left leg. And it's funny to think that tight hamstrings can prohibit our breath. But the hamstrings connect up to the pelvis, connecting through then to the psoas muscle, which connects up to the diaphragm muscle. So when the backs of the legs get tight, which they can through walking, cycling, running, through lots of sitting in a chair, they start to pull on the lower back, pull on the psoas, and make it difficult to breathe in an easy way, as well as, of course, giving us bad posture. And so we're really, again, thinking about our breath here, breathing as though you were breathing into the sole of your left foot. Breathing out, allowing the left side of your back to press into the mat. Chin stays towards the chest. So the back of the neck is long. Shoulders soft. And just one more breath. Enjoy the breath. And then taking both ends of the strap into your left hand. So as we explored on the other side, you can keep your right foot off the floor or lift the right foot off the floor. And then keeping your gaze up, your belly button facing up as you exhale, open the legs. So a bit of muscular effort here because we're not just collapsing to the left, you're staying level across the back of your pelvis. This is why opening your right leg is helpful because it brings you more balance. Reach into the strap with your left foot. Feel as though you're reaching from the inner groin all the way through the inner knee, through to the inner arch of that foot. So the inside of your leg wanted to be as long as the outside of your leg. See if you can still have a conscious breath. And then use your inhale, bring your legs back up towards one another. And as you exhale, step your right foot to the floor. Take the strap into your right hand, bring your left arm on the floor beside you, palm up. Walk that right foot forward a little bit towards the end of your mat. And as you exhale, come into this slightly awkward crossing of your legs. You, of course, can't go that far. You can bring your left thumb into the crease of your thigh, the top of your thigh, and just use your hand to lightly pull the hip down a little bit so your left hip is not leaping up towards your armpits. Breathe here. Your foot is still pressing lightly into the strap. Just stretching the outside of your leg now. From your hip to your ankle. And then using your inhale to come back to center. As you exhale, bend the knee, release the strap. Relax your arms and your legs. And then take a moment to inhale, sweep the arms up behind the head and have a little stretch here. Stretching through your fingers, through your toes. And as you exhale, bring the arms all the way back down by the side. Bend up your knees, roll to your sides, and make your way all the way up to sitting, where we come into an all fours position. So fingers are wide here, and your wrists are slightly wider than your shoulders to allow for the shoulder girdle. Knees are more or less hip distance apart. So if you experience pain in your wrist, you can always fold over the top of your mat a few times. Put the heels of your hand on the mat and your fingers on the floor. This will take out so much pressure onto the wrist. And you can also have a blanket under your knees if you would like one. So gaze down towards the mat, spine long. And take a few breaths here. And then inhaling fully. And as you exhale, come into a very gentle cat-cow. So we start by tucking the tailbone under, rounding through the spine, reaching up between the shoulder blades and relaxing your head. And then hold the posture but not your breath. So take a few breaths here. Make sure you're lifting your belly button to your spine. And then nice and slowly, use your inhale, come back to a flat back. And continuing to inhale, lift your tailbone, move your breastbone forward, look up, or straight ahead, I mean. Slide your shoulder blades away from the ears. And then exhale, come back to the round spine. So you can do it slow. You might stay in this rounded spine for a few breaths. Or you can move with your breath using your inhale to arch the spine, stretching the skin of your tummy, squeezing the muscles of your back. Exhale to round the spine, pulling your belly button in, squeezing through the tummy muscles, stretching the skin across the back. So it's really up to you. Make sure you've got some weight going down through your fingertips, so you're not collapsing onto your wrists. And then we'll come back to a flat back position. Bring your big toes together, take your knees slightly wider and sink back into a child's pose with the arms out in front. So you can walk your arms to the edge of the mat, but then just relax them. Let your forehead come down, so to the mat or to a cushion. And we'll take a few breaths here. When you're ready, straighten the arms, lifting the elbows from the mat, look ahead, and use your inhale, come back up onto your hands and knees, and bring your knees underneath your hips again. So we're going to be doing a similar movement to the one we just did, the arching and rounding of the spine, but we're also going to be circling through the torso, so that you start to circle to one side, and then you come into the arch of the spine, circle to the other side and come into the rounding of the spine. It's usually good not to overthink this movement and just start to feel the movement. And really you can be very creative here in what you're doing. It doesn't just need to be one thing. So we're stretching through the side body here, so getting more space between each armpit and hip. You might find as you do this movement that your breath becomes really fluid, that you want to sigh and yawn, and this is a good thing. Creating lots of space in the body for the breath. If you are going in one direction, remember to change directions and go the other way. And then find your way Back to center. Bring your knees together this time and come to a child's pose with the arms behind you, head to the floor. So it can be harder for your head to reach the floor here, so do feel free to take a cushion. Hands down by the feet, palms facing up. And then bring the arms out in front of you. Use your inhale. Come back up onto your hands and knees. And then keeping the hips over your knees, walk your hands forward into Anahata posture or puppy dog pose, where you're sinking your chest towards the mat. Make sure you keep a lift of your belly here. Some of you may be able to get your forehead or your chin to the floor, but don't force it. Just feel as though there's a weight in between your shoulder blades. It's pressing you down to the mat. Nice straight arms. And then from here, come onto one elbow and then the other. And then walk your knees back and bring your pelvis to the floor and come into Sphinx posture. So feet together or hip width apart, tops of the feet pressed to the mat. If this feels challenging for you, just take your elbows further forwards. Press the tops of the feet down, feel your thighs lift, press your pubis bone down, move your chest forward, keep the shoulder blades squeezing down the back. Gaze at the floor somewhere in front of you. Breathe here. Really good for strengthening the back muscles. Two more breaths. And then use your exhale, lower down, place your hands either side of your chest, push yourself up onto your hands and knees, tuck the toes under and come into a downward facing dog. But a downward dog with a difference, so knees really bent. So when we bend the knees deeply, we're not pulling and tugging on the back of the body, and it becomes easier to get length through the spine. So really feel here that you're trying to lift your hips up to the ceiling and then push your hips to the wall behind you. Keep your head heavy so your gaze is towards your legs. And then carefully start to walk your feet forward towards your hands until you come into a standing forward fold. So we're keeping the legs bent, feet are hip distance apart, toes face to the top of the mat. And let your head hang down. You can have your hands on the floor, on your legs, or you can hold your elbows, whichever you prefer. And really just feel the weight of the gravity here. So as if the crown of your head had a little weight on it, pulling you down towards the floor. If you're holding the elbows, let them go now. Press your feet firmly into the mat and slowly come up so that your hands are hanging just in front of your knees. So your knees are still bent, your spine is still round, your head is heavy. And then inhaling again, press down with your feet, slowly come all the way up. Let your head be the last thing that lifts. And then finding yourself in a standing position, arms down by the side, palms lightly facing forwards, feet under the hips. And if you're comfortable to, close your eyes here. Just notice where your balance is, where you tend to put your weight. Are you leaning back on your heels? Do you collapse on the inside of your arches? And with the eyes still closed, just rock forward and gently, slowly. You can open them if you're a bit nervous about balance. But just trying to notice the feeling of rocking across the soles of your feet. And as well as rocking forward and backward, you could also rock a little bit from side to side. And then diagonally, from the left side of the back heel to the right little toe side of the foot, and the other way, as if you're drawing crosses on the soles of your feet. And then finding yourself all the way back to center. And using your inhale, we're going to bring the arms up overhead and really stretch those fingers to the ceiling. It's as though you're holding a big beach ball. Look straight ahead. And notice if when you're doing this, if you've got a tendency to arch through your back, it's really common. See if you can keep your rib cage heavy, your belly lightly drawing in. Tailbone drops to the floor, crown of the head reaches to the sky. And then use your exhale. Bring your hands all the way down. Take a moment just to shake through your arms. It's a nice, free, easy movement. Just loosen up your shoulders a little bit. Loosen it all up. And then let the arms find their way to stillness. Feels good to do that. And then inhale, let's bring the arms up overhead once again. So we're taking the right arm with the left arm here, or you can hold the hand. Trying to make sure you can see my arms in the camera. Use your inhale to reach to the ceiling, and then exhale, stretch across to the left. So as you do this, make sure you're pressing your right foot firmly into the floor. So we're getting this length through this whole right side of the torso. So keep that right foot grounded, breathe into your right rib cage. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, take the left with the right. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, stretching over to the right. Breathing into the left side of the torso. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bring your hands all the way down. Stepping onto the mats, if you stepped off your mat, you probably didn't, I just did that to be in frame. We're going to step the legs wide and then take the toes of the right foot to face the narrow edge of the mat, and the toes of the left foot in slightly so your left heel moves out. Use your inhale, glide your arms up in line with your shoulders, and as you exhale, bend your right knee deeply so your knee is coming above your ankle. So notice if your knee drops in. If it does, you might need to turn these toes in at a deeper angle. So warrior two posture. So feel as though you're pressing down into your feet, into the mat.
so that you're lifting up from the mat, not collapsing. There's a sense of lifting through your pelvis and lengthening through both of your arms. So don't forget about your back arm. Keep reaching through the fingertips of both arms. Let your eyes be really soft, looking somewhere towards that right middle finger. Slow down your breath. Let's have one more breath. And as you exhale, relax the arms down, straighten the right leg. We'll take it on to the other side. So left toes face the back of the mat, right heel is out slightly. Use your inhale, glide your arms up. Use your exhale, bend your left knee as you come into the posture on this side. So really make sure that you are breathing in a calm and steady way here. This posture is actually really good for reducing cortisol levels, one of the stress hormones. But of course, if we're kind of getting really stressed and anxious about being here, then we're probably not going to get the same benefit from the posture. So let your eyes soften. Breathe deeply. Use your legs to lift you up from the floor. Warrior, warrior two, this is called. So think of that, the strength of the warrior, the grace of the warrior. Lengthening through both of the arms. Imagine your arms are just floating on clouds. One more breath. And then use your exhale, let your arms come all the way down. Turn your toes to face the long edge of the mat. Heel toe all the way in. And then turn to face the narrow edge of your mat. With your feet about hip distance apart, let's step the right foot back. Just a short distance, maybe say a third or so of your mat. Make sure you're not too narrow here, so use the width of the mat. And then we're going to have the hands on the hips, elbows squeezing behind. So notice, if you just relax your arms and bring your hands to the hips and squeeze the elbows behind it, you're lifting and opening through your chest. As you inhale, lift through your breastbone. And as you exhale, slowly start to come forward. So we're keeping the spine straight. So don't be in a hurry to get anywhere. Draw your right hip back, so left hip back, right hip forward. And keep pressing your right heel firmly into the mat. Breathe here. So your legs are staying strong, back is staying straight. And then put a little soft bend into that front leg, and as you inhale, draw yourself up. Keep your legs in this same position. We're going to do that posture again, but we're slightly different. So use your breath, grow tall. As you breathe out, start to come forward, a long spine. And at this time, we're going to round the spine a little bit. So you can bend your front leg for greater stability. Let your chin drop towards your chest, and then come into a curve for the back spine. So let your gaze just focus on something that isn't moving.
And then inhale, we slowly come up until the head is up, looking straight ahead. And then step your right foot forward and step the left foot back. Again, make sure that you're not walking a tightrope. Use the width of the mat, hands on the hips, squeeze the elbows behind the back. So we start with the straight version, taking a breath in to grow tall. As you breathe out, folding forward, drawing the right hip back, left hip forward. So it's as though your belly button is turning in the direction of your thigh. So keeping the spine straight, you can imagine that you're holding an apple between your chin and your chest. Breathing here. So remembering, just like in Warrior Two pose, keeping the breath soft and steady. Use your inhale. You can always bend the front knee to come up as you come all the way back up. Second version, taking a breath in. As you breathe out, feel free to put a tiny bend in that front leg if it gives you more stability. Let your chin drop towards your chest, and then you're really rolling down the spine. So in the first version, we're moving more from the hips. In this version, we're moving more from the head. So again, see if you can focus your eyes just to something on the floor perhaps that isn't moving. And breathing here. Use your inhale, slowly come up, no rush, head is aloft to lift. And then exhale, come back to standing. And just stand again in your mountain pose. So feet underneath your hips, palms facing forward. Your gaze is straight ahead, but you're welcome to close your eyes. Just notice how you're feeling, the sensation in your body. The quality of thought in mind. And then one more standing posture to take. So you can start with your hands on your hips. This is a really good way to work with stability. If you struggle with balance postures and they are hard, then feel free to come and stand near a wall. So you've got that support of the wall. So we're going to start by lifting the right leg off the floor and holding it up in front of us here. So let your gaze focus on something that isn't moving. If you're really wobbly today and falling over, just laugh it off. It doesn't matter. So from here, we're going to take the left hand, whoop, see, even yoga teachers fall over, left hand to right leg, and then just start to turn and open the chest. It's a bit more tricky now because you've turned your head, you've moved your gaze, so find again something for your gaze to focus on. You can always reach that right arm out behind you. Whoa, don't look at me today, I'm falling about all over the place. And then bring your hand back, bring your leg down. See, we all have good days and bad days. So we'll take it on to the other side. So more weight coming through that right leg, lifting that left leg up. Taking a few breaths here. So of course the balances are hard, but they're so important for us. Just in keeping awareness through our legs and our feet. Coming into that second version, taking that twist, hand to the knee, maybe reaching back with your left arm for that extra challenge. And then bringing your hands back to your hip, turning to face forward, bring your leg down, give your arms a shake, your legs a shake, well done. Enjoy now, having 2 legs to stand on as you come to the top of your mat. Take a nice deep inhale as you circle your arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, fold forward, feel free to bend the knees, particularly if your lower back is sore. Bring your hands to your shins as you inhale and lift up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands to the mat. We're coming back into downward dog again. And so you can explore in this second downward dog how this feels. If downward dog is difficult for you, if you're new to yoga, just take your feet wider. Otherwise, your feet are usually in line with your hips. Feel free to bend the knees. Bending the knees will help you get the length through the spine. That's more important than getting your heels to the floor. So you might be stretching and reaching your heels to the floor, but it doesn't matter if they're not getting there. And then use your next inhale, come down onto your hands and knees. Make your way to a seated position. So having a block to sit up on here will be really useful. If you don't have a yoga block, you can sit on a cushion. Anything really that just lifts your hips away from the floor. And then straightening both legs out in front of you. And bending up that right leg. And then taking your knee wide and bringing the sole of the foot to the inside of your leg. If you have a strap, you may want to have it nearby, but it's not necessary. So left leg is straight, toes point to the ceiling. Take a breath in, grow tall. And then as you breathe out, fold forward. So move from your hips. We did this earlier when we were standing. You can even put your hands on your hips to have that sense of feeling as if your pelvis were a bowl of water and you were trying to pull that water down the sink, so that you're moving forward, lengthening from your lower spine. And then feel free to keep your hands here, place them on the floor, take your foot or use your strap. Don't get preoccupied about where your hands are. It's not important. What's important is what's happening through your spine. So of course here we're stretching the backs of the legs. I imagine most of us are feeling that. I certainly am. But we're trying to keep this ski slope-like shape of the breath. So the movement is from your hips. And there's a sense of moving forward, not down. So don't think about how low you're getting to your legs. Think about moving the chest forward. And then we're going to change it slightly. So whereas we've been in a straight spine, we're now going to completely relax the head. So the head is moving to the direction of the knee. And now we are taking this deep rounding, flexion of the spine. So enjoy a few more breaths here. And then use your inhale. Come all the way up to sit tall. Head is the last to lift. Lift that right knee up, straighten it out. Bring your left leg up. Take the sole of the foot to the inside of the leg, the left knee to the side. If your knee is really high off the floor, you can always take a cushion and just pop it under your hip, just so that your hip's got a little bit of extra support. So we start with the straight spine version. So inhale, feel that length through your spine. Exhale, move from your hips. So again, feel free to use your hands on the hips. That image of pouring water down the sink from the bowl of your pelvis if it's useful. And then you can always release your hands wherever you find them most comfortable to be. So the floor, your foot, or using the strap to hold your foot. Breathe here and really sense that you're breathing into your spine and into the muscles of your back. So when we keep the spine straight, we're engaging the muscles of the back. This is a really good way to strengthen the muscles of the back to improve our posture. The stretch then is primarily in the back of the leg. Of course, around this hip a little bit as well. Moving forward with the heart space rather than thinking about moving down. And then coming into that rounding of the spine, when you drop your head, you start to round and curve your spine. So now we're no longer strengthening these muscles, but we're stretching them. So enjoy a few breaths here. One more breath. Use your inhale to slowly come all the way back up. Head is the last thing that lifts. Guide that left leg up, straighten both legs out. Come off whatever height you're sitting on. And make your way back onto your back. So if you want some support for your head, take it. Come back onto the back of your body, knees bent, feet hip distance apart. Just notice how the back of your body is feeling. And then take your right ankle, place it over the top of your left knee. Your first option is to stay here. Your second option is to lift that leg off the floor, catch hold of the thigh. As you take, this is a version of pigeon pose. So we're opening up through the right hip here. So if you feel that you're getting some opening with your left foot on the floor, that's fine to stay there. Lifting your leg off the floor will deepen the feeling of the stretch. So feel as though you're breathing into your pelvis, into your buttocks, into your belly. And if you want to continue going deeper, and as you exhale, draw that left leg towards you and the right knee away from you, as if your right knee was trying to get further away from your right armpit. One more breath. And as you next exhale, carefully bring that left foot to the floor. Bring both arms out in line with your shoulders and let your right foot drop all the way to the left. So you're keeping your legs in this kind of figure of four shape if you can. If this is really uncomfortable for you, just release that top leg. And turn your gaze slightly to the right. And enjoy a few breaths here, coming into a relaxing twist. And then use your inhale, pull your tummy button in as you roll onto your back. Exhale, step your right foot to the floor, feet hip distance apart, and then guiding that left ankle above your right knee. Option one, stay here. Option two, lift your right leg in towards you, catch hold of the side. Find your breath. So breathing into your belly, your hips, your buttocks. Again, that option to go deeper as you exhale, draw the right leg in, left knee away. And then use your exhale to carefully release that right leg down, arms come out in line with the shoulders, and then coming into the twist. Again, keeping your legs in the same figure of four shape if you can, otherwise just really as long as your legs are comfortable. We're focusing here mostly on this hip, but also of course the waist and the spine. So however you position your legs, your spine will be getting a nice twist. Turning your gaze slightly to the left. When you're ready to come out, move on your inhale, pull your tummy in so that you're protecting your back. And as you exhale, release both legs to the floor. And then bring your knees towards your chest. Take them wide and come to happy baby. So you can hold your thighs, your calves, or your feet, whatever feels good here. Take a few breaths. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. So again, it doesn't matter if you're holding your feet or your legs. When you hold your feet, the chances are that you're curling your tailbone off the mat. This is a really nice way to stretch your sacrum. If you're holding your legs, you can use your elbows to encourage your knees wider, deepening the stretch on the inside of the thigh and maintaining the curve of the lower back. So really, there's benefits to whichever way you choose. And when you are finished with this, bring your knees in towards you. Hug yourself into a little ball. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, relax your head, your shoulders, your arms and your legs. And come all the way into your Shavasana now. So take whatever you need to be comfortable. Pillows, blankets, eye pillows, jumpers and socks. And allow your body now to rest. This is where we absorb all the prana, the life force that we've been conjuring up. This is where we absorb it all into the body. So allow your body to become a little bit heavier on your exhale. Letting go of all effort and coming just to rest. And of course, feel free to stay lying, resting for longer if you wish. Otherwise, start to bring some movement into your fingers, your toes, your ankles, your wrists. Maybe stretch through your arms and your legs with a sigh or a yawn. Before gently turning to roll onto your sides. Just resting on your side for a few moments. And then coming up to sit. Sit in a comfortable seated position. Let your hands come to your heart. Take a breath in, lift your breastbone. Breathe out, bow your head to your heart. And we will end our practice there. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this practice, everyone. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. You come back to it again and again and again. The body is different every day. If you're interested in exploring pranayama, meditation, it could be a really good time to do either or both of those things after this practice. So do feel free to check out those videos if you like, and otherwise enjoy the